I'm sorry, but we can't just hand out rooms to anyone who walks in, hotel manager Bradley Stevens said, his voice laced with arrogance as he slid the credit card back across the marble counter. Especially not our premium suites. His words echoed through the grand lobby of the Monarch Hotel, drawing the attention of nearby staff. A few employees exchanged glances. One young woman leaned toward her coworker and whispered just loud enough to be heard. Yeah, right. She doesn't even look like she belongs here. A ripple of quiet laughter followed, subtle yet sharp, but the woman standing calmly on the other side of the counter wasn't just any guest. Her name was Maya Richardson, and what none of them realized was that she held the power to change not just their jobs, but the very culture of this hotel forever. Have you ever been judged before someone even knew your name? This is a story about instant karma, about dignity, and about a moment that would reveal everything. If you believe in respect, regardless of someone's appearance, background, or what others assume, this story will stay with you. Maya Richardson stood in the opulent lobby of the Monarch Hotel, her caramel-colored trench coat still damp from the light spring rain. At 42, she carried the quiet confidence of someone who had conquered boardrooms and shattered glass ceilings. Behind sleek designer glasses, her observant eyes took in the crystal chandeliers, polished marble floors, and every polished surface that gave this five-star hotel its shine. But today, she wasn't here as the CEO of Pinnacle Hospitality Group, the company that owned this hotel and 17 others across the country. Today, she came incognito. No luxury suit, no chauffeur, just jeans, a black turtleneck, and natural hair pulled back in a modest twist. Her gold-embossed business cards, left intentionally at home. For 3 months, Maya had been receiving unsettling guest feedback from the Monarch, her company's crown jewel in downtown Chicago. On the surface, satisfaction scores looked high, but a deeper look told a different story. Guests of color routinely reported longer wait times, colder service, and a quiet but unmistakable feeling of not being welcome. These aren't just numbers, she had told her executive team the week before. These are real people, and I need to see what they're experiencing with my own eyes. Now here she was, pulling a small carry-on suitcase as she blended in with the day's travelers. For 15 minutes, she stood near the front desk, silently watching. A white businessman in a tailored suit was checked in warmly in under 2 minutes. An Asian couple waited nearly 10 before being helped, their questions answered with less enthusiasm. A Latino family with children was directed to the far side of the counter, away from the main desk. Maya's heart sank. The data hadn't lied. Taking a breath, she stepped forward to the desk, phone in hand with her reservation confirmation. It was time to experience the service firsthand. "Next guest, please," said Vanessa, a front desk agent whose tone had been bubbly just moments earlier with the previous guest. A white woman in a designer blazer who was personally escorted to the elevator. "Good afternoon," Maya said with a professional smile. "I have a reservation for tonight." She handed over her ID, credit card, and phone screen displaying the confirmation number. Vanessa looked at Maya's ID, then at Maya herself, eyes pausing a little too long on her simple outfit and natural hair. A small shift crossed her face. Then coldly, "One moment, please." She began typing with exaggerated effort. I'm not seeing your reservation," Vanessa said, still avoiding eye contact. "Are you sure you have the right hotel?" "I'm sure," Maya replied calmly. "The confirmation number's right there." Vanessa sighed dramatically, tapped on the keyboard again, then shook her head. "I'm afraid our system shows no availability tonight. Maybe there was a glitch in the online system." Just then, a white couple stepped up to the desk next to Maya. "We don't have a reservation," the man said cheerfully. "Just decided to treat ourselves tonight." "Let me check what we have available for you," the agent replied with a smile. "We still have several lovely rooms, including a junior suite with a city view." Maya took it all in. "I'd like to speak with a manager," she said, her voice even. "Our manager's very busy," Vanessa answered quickly. "And without a valid reservation, there's really nothing we can do. We're fully booked." Her eyes drifted pointedly to Maya's modest luggage. "There are a few budget hotels just a few blocks away that might be more suitable." The unspoken insult hung heavy in the air. Around her, other staff members slowly gathered, creating a quiet wall of polished uniforms and silent judgment. From across the lobby, a tall man in an expensive suit was watching. His Italian leather shoes clicked across the marble floor as he made his way toward the scene. This was Bradley Stevens, the Monarch's general manager, the man Maya had specifically come to evaluate, and he had no idea who she really was. At 54, with salt and pepper hair and a perfectly tailored navy suit, Bradley Stevens looked every bit the part of a luxury hotel general manager, confident, polished, and quietly intimidating. "Is there a problem here, Vanessa?" he asked smoothly, his voice carrying a well-practiced balance of charm and command. His eyes flicked briefly over Maya, barely registering her presence, before settling back on the desk agent. "This woman claims to have a reservation," Vanessa replied, with an emphasis on woman that implied something else entirely. Bradley turned to Maya, offering a professional smile that never reached his eyes. "I'm Bradley Stevens, general manager of the Monarch. I understand there's been some confusion about your reservation." "There's no confusion on my part," Maya replied evenly. "I booked a premium king room 3 days ago. Here's my confirmation." She held out her phone again, displaying the email. Bradley barely looked at it. "Our system is the final authority," he said, voice dipping lower. "And if Vanessa couldn't find your name, I'm afraid there's nothing we can do." Then came the line that made the air in the room go cold. "The Monarch caters to a certain caliber of guest. Perhaps there's been a misunderstanding about the nature of our establishment." The lobby fell quiet. Guests who had been casually milling around now seemed to freeze mid-step, suddenly interested in the unfolding scene. Hotel staff exchanged uncomfortable glances. A nearby security guard edged closer, not aggressive, but close enough to make his presence known. "I'd like to book a room right now then," Maya said, placing her platinum credit card firmly on the counter. Bradley's smile grew tight. "I'm afraid that won't be possible. As Vanessa mentioned, we're fully booked tonight." His eyes flicked to her clothes. Casual, clean, but not designer. "The Comfort Inn a few blocks down might be more in line with your expectations." From a nearby desk, Maya overheard another agent speaking cheerfully to a white couple who had just walked in without a reservation. "Yes, we have several rooms available tonight. Would you prefer a city view or river view?" The hypocrisy was breathtaking. Maya felt a familiar knot of emotion rising in her chest, a mixture of anger, sadness, and restraint she had practiced for years. The sting of being judged, dismissed, reduced to a stereotype. She drew a breath and said clearly, "Mr. Stevens, are you refusing me service because I'm black?" The question hit like a lightning strike. Several guests turned openly now, drawn by the sudden shift in energy. Bradley's face flushed red, fury replacing his artificial politeness. "How dare you?" he snapped, leaning closer. "I'm going to have to ask you to leave immediately before I call security. We reserve the right to refuse service to anyone who becomes disruptive." Maya didn't budge. She reached for her phone and dialed, her voice calm, composed, and unmistakably authoritative. "Hello, this is Maya Richardson," she said into the phone, her tone suddenly shifting into executive mode, commanding, confident, and clear. Bradley folded his arms, unimpressed. To him, it sounded like a bluff. Behind him, more staff began to gather, drawn in by the growing tension. Some looked uneasy. Others simply watched, fascinated. "Yes," Maya continued. "I'm at the Monarch. I need you here immediately." Bradley signaled to the security guard. "Ma'am, I won't ask again. Please leave before we're forced to escort you out." Maya ended the call. She stood her ground, composed even as public humiliation burned around her. A clock on the wall ticked. It was 3:17 p.m., a time that would soon appear in multiple termination notices. Then the grand entrance doors swung open. A woman in her 50s strode into the lobby like a storm in heels. Dressed in a power suit and radiating authority, she moved with intent. This was Elaine Washington, Chief Operating Officer of Pinnacle Hospitality Group, and Maya's right hand. Her voice sliced through the air like thunder. "Stop this, immediately." Bradley turned, irritation flashing in his eyes. "Excuse me, but this doesn't concern—" "Do you have any idea who this is?" Elaine cut him off, pointing straight at Maya. The question lingers in the charged silence of the lobby. Bradley's eyes dart from Maya to Elaine. Confusion flickers, slowly dissolving into dread. Elaine's voice rings out clearly. This is Maya Richardson, Chief Executive Officer of Pinnacle Hospitality Group. Your boss. Bradley blanches. Behind him, Vanessa gasps audibly, her hand flying to her mouth. Around them, staff freeze, expressions of horror dawning one by one. That's impossible, Bradley stammers. Maya steps forward, her voice steady. Maya Richardson is standing right in front of you, she says, and I've been observing how you treat guests who look like me for the past 40 minutes. Her words land with surgical precision. The security cameras throughout this lobby have captured everything, she continues. Every slight, every dismissive glance, every time a white guest received immediate service, while people of color were ignored or turned away. What was once a gleaming fortress of hospitality has become a stage of reckoning. Bradley's carefully built persona shatters under the weight of realization. The power he thought he held evaporates with each second. Maya stands composed, not triumphant, but resolved, someone who has seen this scenario unfold far too often. Pull the security footage from the last hour, Maya instructs Elaine, who's already tapping commands into her tablet. And I want the past 6 months of guest service records, sorted by demographic. Bradley tries to salvage what he can. Mrs. Richardson, there's clearly been a misunderstanding. If I had known... That's the point, Maya interrupts calmly. The problem isn't how you treated me once you knew who I was. The problem is how you treat people when you think they don't matter. On Elaine's tablet, the evidence is damning. Split-screen footage shows the contrast. A white couple warmly welcomed, a black family left waiting, Bradley himself escorting well-dressed white guests to their rooms, while guests of color wander the lobby unassisted. Vanessa's smile disappearing the moment a non-white guest steps forward. Every interaction in this hotel is recorded, Maya says, projecting her voice to the now silent semicircle of staff. And what we're seeing is a pattern of behavior that violates not only our company's values, but federal law. The only sound is the ticking of the ornate wall clock. Outside, the city continues unaware. Inside, careers are unraveling. Bradley Stevens, Maya says formally, you're terminated. Effective immediately. His face contorts in disbelief. You can't just... I can, she replies. And I have. She turns to Vanessa. You're also terminated. Vanessa's face crumples. Please, she begs, tears streaking her mascara. I was just following Bradley's lead. I need this job. Maya's expression doesn't change. There's no vindictiveness, only the solemn weight of leadership. Actions have consequences, she says, and the culture you helped foster has harmed guests and eroded our brand's integrity. Across the lobby, a black woman who had been waiting quietly nods in recognition. A Latino family nearby exchanges glances that say finally. The scene is rare. Accountability, not just promised, executed. Hotel security steps forward, clearly uncomfortable, to escort Bradley and Vanessa to gather their things. As they disappear through a side exit, the image they leave behind is stark. Careers ended, reputations ruined, consequences delivered with clarity. Maya turns to face the remaining staff. What happened today wasn't just about two people making bad choices, she says. It's about a workplace culture that allowed those choices to go unchecked. That ends now. The staff listens, some shaken, some relieved. But all of them know things will not go back to the way they were. 3 days later, morning sunlight spills through the grand ballroom of the Monarch Hotel. Where once only elite galas were held, rows of chairs are now filled with staff, housekeepers, front desk agents, restaurant servers, faces serious, attentive. Maya stands at the front, this time in a deep burgundy suit. Next to her are Elaine and Marcus Johnson, a respected diversity consultant brought in to lead the hotel's cultural transformation. What happened here 3 days ago was a failure, Maya begins, but it was also an opportunity, one we're going to seize to make this hotel what it claims to be, welcoming to all. Behind her, large screens display guest satisfaction data. The charts don't lie. Broken down by race and ethnicity, the disparities are jarring. This is what bias looks like in numbers, Marcus says, stepping forward. But now we rebuild. The Monarch isn't just undergoing a staff retraining. It's undergoing a rebirth. And at its center is a woman who refused to be dismissed. This isn't about politics, and it's not about being woke, Maya says, her voice calm but unwavering, cutting through the tension in the ballroom. This is about business excellence. Hospitality, at its core, means serving everyone with equal care. When we fail to do that, we fail, period. That ends today. Eyes across the room stay fixed on her. Some carry skepticism, others curiosity. All listen. Maya outlines the sweeping changes effective immediately. A new leadership structure, mandatory inclusion training for all staff, mystery guests from diverse backgrounds, performance metrics directly tied to fair service, a private hotline for guests to report any discriminatory treatment, one that rings directly to her office. In the back row sits Tariq, a young black bellhop who had quietly witnessed the confrontation days ago. He hadn't spoken then, but he'd seen everything. Now, as Maya speaks of creating leadership pathways for overlooked talent, his shoulders lift, just slightly. You might be wondering who'll take over as general manager, Maya says. Let me introduce Gabriela Vasquez, previously assistant manager at our San Francisco property. A confident woman in her late 30s steps forward to light applause. What no one knows yet is that Gabriela herself had once been denied a room at this very hotel, despite her executive title. She shared that story with Maya months ago. It became the spark for all of this. The day continues with rotating workshops led by Marcus Johnson. Through role-playing scenarios and uncomfortable conversations, staff begin confronting things they never questioned before. One front desk agent admits, hesitantly, to assigning rooms based on how guests were dressed. A senior concierge confesses that he often recommended restaurants based on customers' race rather than their stated tastes. I didn't think of it as racism, he says, voice low. I thought I was being helpful. That's how bias works, Marcus replies, not with blame, but clarity. It feels like common sense, until you ask yourself why those assumptions felt right. By dusk, the staff disperses. Some are shaken, others reflective. But something has shifted. Seeds of awareness have been planted, and Maya knows that's where real change begins. 6 months later, Maya Richardson stands once again in the Monarch Hotel's lobby, dressed down in jeans and a blazer. This time, she isn't here to investigate a failure. She's here to witness a transformation. Immediately, the difference is visible. The front desk hums with synchronized efficiency. Staff of all backgrounds greet guests with equal courtesy, no hesitation. Gone is the invisible sorting of who seems important. In its place, genuine hospitality. Above the reception hangs a discreet but unmistakable sign. The Monarch Hotel is committed to serving all guests with equal respect and excellence. If your experience falls short, call this number. Below it is Maya's direct line. She watches as an elderly black couple approaches the front desk. The husband moves slowly with a cane, seeming a bit out of place among business travelers and luxury tourists. 6 months ago, they might have been quietly redirected, or scrutinized more than others. Today, a front desk agent steps around the counter, offers the man a seat, and begins the check-in process with a smile. When the couple mentions it's their 50th anniversary, the agent arranges a complimentary suite upgrade and champagne delivery. It's the same service Maya saw a white couple receive months ago. The difference? Now everyone gets it. Her phone buzzes, a report from guest services. Satisfaction scores are up across every demographic, higher than ever before. It turns out treating people with dignity isn't just the right thing to do, it's good business. Maya smiles quietly. What could have been a PR disaster became a catalyst for company-wide transformation. 5 more Pinnacle properties have already undergone similar changes. Plans for the remaining hotels are underway. The Monarch still stands for luxury, but now it stands for something greater. Proof that change is possible, that accountability matters, and that sometimes the most powerful phrase in business is, "I'm sorry, but that's not who we are anymore." If this story moved you, if you believe everyone deserves respect, no matter what they look like, hit subscribe and share this video. Change doesn't begin at the top. It begins with people who refuse to look away. Comment respect first if you're ready to speak up when it matters.